The manga kicks off with the MC playing a video game, grumbling about the lousy graphics. He decides to take a closer look later. When he gets to his house and reaches for the doorknob, the door opens before he can unlock it. He hesitates but then steps inside, greeted by a sharp voice welcoming Akun back. He announces that he's home and asks what she's doing. She replies cutely, saying she's doing yoga, and excitedly notices he brought ice cream. He asks if she wants some and tells her to pick any flavor she likes. She eagerly yells that she'll have the soda-flavored one. As he walks away, he glances back at Hee-chan. She looks up, biting her ice cream. He casually mentions she should dress more appropriately since it's not her house. Shocked, she asks why he's mentioning it now, considering she's always dressed like this. Laughing, he says he's been telling her this since day one. She grabs his arm, pulls him closer, and wraps her arms around his neck with a mischievous smile. He sighs in frustration, thinking about his older sister, who always had high standards for beauty. She loved tidy and beautiful things, and her sense of aesthetics had been amazing since she was little. When she went to middle school, she introduced Asahi to her friend. He remembered Hinako's introduction and how he was struck by her natural beauty, long, curly eyelashes, big pupils that needed no contact lenses, a small nose, and slightly thick but well-maintained eyebrows. She is truly a beauty, sculpted by the gods. He sighs again, realizing he shares the same taste in beauty as his sister, Tsuko. She's still clinging to his neck, so he zips up her jacket a bit and asks what she's on about. As he's about to walk away, she grabs his shirt again, begging to play Mario Kart. He hesitates, mentioning he has tests coming up soon, but she pleads to play for 2 hours. He finally agrees, and they start playing. After a long session, he sighs, realizing how late it's gotten and that he's hungry. He decides to fix something to eat and heads to the kitchen, with her following close behind, curious about what he's going to make. He suggests udon, but asks if they can pretend she chose it, to avoid his sister's disapproval. Just then, she receives a text from Tsuko, saying she'll be eating out tonight. He adds eggplant to the chilled udon, knowing his sister dislikes it. She admires the dish and comments on how delicious it looks. He mentions his sister's busy schedule due to college, contrasting it with Hee-chan's apparently less busy life in liberal arts. He speculates that Tsuko, in the sciences, has a tougher time. As they eat, he recalls how his sister initially lived alone after college, but then Hinako, who also entered the same college, started visiting often. Now, he spends more time with Hinako than with his sister. He glances at her, noticing even her profile looks perfect. He notices she's eating her hair and teases her about it. Surprised, she looks at him, prompting him to ask if she wants him to tie her hair. She hands him a hairband, and he reluctantly ties her hair, feeling a bit flustered by their closeness. He sighs in relief when he's done. She thanks him and playfully remarks that he'd make a great husband. While washing dishes, poor Asahi, still flustered from their recent closeness, reflects on the situation. He wonders if there's any healthy boy who wouldn't fall for Hinako when she approaches with such a disarmingly cute smile. He scolds himself internally, shaking off the thought. Just then, she appears behind him, announcing she's going to take a shower. He nods in response, gesturing for her to go ahead, which seems to disappoint her with his casual reaction. Unaware of his inner turmoil, she leans closer, playfully peeking over his shoulder and reminding him not to snoop around. With a teasing grin, she hurries off, leaving him stunned by her closeness. He forcefully clanks a dish into the sink, muttering to himself about how overwhelming it all is. Sitting down on the floor to calm himself, he enters a meditation-like state, reminding himself strictly not to get fooled by the situation, no matter how tempting it may appear. He reminisces about how Hinako used to cling to him in middle school, always insisting they were just like siblings. Reflecting on this, he muses that her treating him like a younger brother meant she couldn't possibly see him romantically, especially not if she made him do things like wash her underwear, despite the fact she happened to be his first crush. What a tragic situation. Later, as Asahi steps out, he spots Hinako approaching with excitement. Noting her change from loungewear, he comments inwardly on her appearance. She asks coyly if she looks cute, to which he responds with exaggerated praise, remarking on her Fasahion's sense as simply marvelous, giving 100 million points. Later in the week, Asahi asks if she's returning from her part-time job. Hinako confirms and shifts the conversation to his recent exams. He admits they were average, prompting her to playfully congratulate him and cling to him from behind, asking for study help in the future. Puzzled by her request, he wonders aloud why she needs help despite her good grades. She instantly denies, exclaiming that she barely managed due to Tsuko's intense tutoring, aimed at ensuring they attend the same college. She explains she needed months to elevate grades to an A average and admits forgetting most of the material already. He reacts casually, noting that her Spartan tutoring sounds intimidating. She visibly shudders at the thought, insisting not to recall those memories. Sitting inside their house, Hinako comments on how cute the black-haired member of Mivius is, mentioning their new album MV, which she knows Asahi and Tsuko both like. Asahi, feeling slightly flustered, calls out to her, questioning if she's getting too close. Hinako, oblivious, casually asks if she is, and offers him some chips. He declines abruptly, stands up, and tries to leave, prompting her to grab his shirt to stop him. Reluctantly, he agrees to stay, internally struggling to manage his overflowing emotions, feeling somewhat like a pet dog to her. Hinako then mentions that his sister is eating out again. He quickly uses this as an excuse to leave, asking if she could let him go so he can make something to eat. She agrees, and he finally escapes to the kitchen, stealing glances at her silently from a distance. After preparing the food, he approaches Hinako with a tray of hamburger steak, which she eagerly praises as they sit down to eat. She enjoys the meal, noting its spiciness. Asahi casually asks if she had a rough day, prompting Hinako to react with surprise, asking if her mood was noticeable. He reassures her that while he sensed something might be bothering her, it wasn't obvious. Hinako tries to brush it off, claiming she's fine despite feeling uncool for showing her emotions. Noticing her sadness, Asahi tries to console her, reassuring her that he appreciates her self-confidence. Hinako, however, reflects on how her appearance sometimes leads to misunderstandings and makes it challenging to connect with other girls. Feeling guilty for talking too much, she opens up about her insecurities. Seeing her distress, Asahi takes her hand gently, asserting that beauty is a form of justice. His words surprise her, and he continues by acknowledging her struggles and expressing his willingness to stand up for her when she finds it hard to confront others. He reveals to her that during her 3rd year, he remembered how someone in her cram school accused her of ogling her boyfriend. After that incident, he admitted to going to a shrine and praying for her accuser to fail her exams and for her boyfriend to stub his pinky toe. He giggles, unsure if his prayers actually had any effect. Hinako, touched by his protective gesture, impulsively hugs him, leading him to inwardly muse about feeling like a pet dog to her once again. Unexpectedly, she kisses his cheek, leaving him flustered and prompting him to push her away, concerned that her actions went too far. Meanwhile, Hinako blushes intensely, clearly affected by the moment. Trying to play it off, she loudly insists that it was just a fleeting happiness and meant nothing. Feeling embarrassed, Asahi nods submissively and changes the subject, mentioning that he has strawberries. Still flustered, Hinako demands to know why he isn't embarrassed by what happened, calling him an idiot. Their chaos is interrupted when Tsuko arrives, visibly upset and demanding to know what Asahi did to her friend. Asahi, caught off guard, defensively denies doing any wrong, unsure of how to respond. As he arrives home, he notices a pamphlet and his sister's mail by the door. After unlocking it and pushing it open, he's surprised to find Hinako standing there with a warm smile, welcoming him back. He admires her beautiful face and remarks that he's returned. She playfully asks if she surprised him, mentioning she heard him unlocking the door. Taking a book from his hand, she realizes it's the one she ordered and expresses her delight. But his mood shifts as he seriously tells her she should dress more appropriately, as he's reminded her before. Innocently, Hinako looks at him and casually insists she is dressed properly, showing him her outfit. Meanwhile, Asahi struggles to contain his emotions, particularly as he notices her exposed thighs. She steps closer and with a blush, asks if he perhaps wants to see underneath, lifting her hoodie slightly before stopping. As Asahi tries to stop Hinako from lifting her hoodie further, she continues doing it, revealing that she's wearing shorts underneath. Amused by his flustered reaction, she laughs and teases him, saying how she's caught him blushing. Turning towards him with her innocent smile, makes Asahi reflect on how this friend of his sister's stirs up his emotions, reminding him of a past crush from 2 years ago when she only saw him as a younger brother. Frustrated with himself, he admits he's unsure of his feelings for her. Interrupting his thoughts, Hinako cheerfully offers him some hot chocolate, to which Asahi simply nods in response. The scene shifts to Asahi sitting in front of his laptop, focused on something. Suddenly, Hinako approaches and asks if he's studying. Asahi confirms, mentioning he has a report due soon. Hinako then suggests watching TV together, offering to move her things out of the way. Asahi politely declines, saying he plans to study soon in his room instead. Surprised by his dedication, Hinako comments humorously about him being Tsuko's brother and his studious nature. She then smiles and decides to read quietly so as not to disturb him, suggesting that he join her for studying if he's interested. Asahi agrees, nodding in response. He sits down and resumes his study while Hinako settles on the couch, engrossed in her book. He glances at her and ponders how quiet she is. Lost in her reading, Hinako doesn't notice his gaze. A few moments later, she turns to look at him and asks if something is wrong. Nervously, Asahi says it's nothing, then comments on her love for reading books. Hinako nods, explaining that it's easier to focus at home or here, but she struggles to concentrate on campus. Surprised, Asahi asks why she can't focus on campus, noting that she should have plenty of free time between lectures. Hinako explains that people often make fun of her for reading, suggesting it doesn't fit her character. She recounts how people have commented on her reading habits, implying she looks out of place or is trying to attract attention. She laments that it's a pain to deal with these comments, and admits that books might not be for her, feeling like an idiot after all. Asahi responds reassuringly, telling her that's not true. Internally, Asahi reflects on how much he dislikes required reading and recalls never having visited a public library before. He remembers seeing Hinako reading once and found it mesmerizing, noticing how beautiful she looked, completely engrossed in her book and oblivious to her surroundings. Thinking back, he realizes that was the first time he felt such admiration. When Hinako asks when this happened, Asahi excitedly explains that he found her admirable because all he ever reads is manga. He thought it was impressive how she enjoyed reading so much that she would go to a library. Hinako calmly replies that she reads because she enjoys it, not because it's something to be admired. Asahi insists that it is admirable, and adds that Hinako is too kind. He clarifies that it's rude for people to say reading doesn't suit someone and that anyone would get upset by such comments. He praises her for trying to change herself instead of getting angry, which he finds commendable. Hinako responds, saying Asahi is getting too much into it and being too kind. She just wanted to avoid people making those comments about her. Asahi calmly tells Hinako that he admires how much she enjoys reading and that he likes that part of her. Ignoring her shocked expression, he asks to see what she is reading. She nervously responds that it's Heikemonogatari. Unexpectedly flustered by his closeness, her cheeks turn red, which she tries to cover with her hands. Taking the book from her hand, Asahi remarks on her being an ancient Japanese literature major, admitting he can't handle ancient literature well. Hinako, still covering her face and trying to calm herself down, tells herself he didn't mean anything. Noticing her unusual state, Asahi asks what's wrong, prompting her to scream at him to go back to studying. Shocked, he calms himself down. She then shares that she was once told she seemed to enjoy reading. Asahi asks if it was his sister who said that. Hinako explains it happened in their second year of middle school when they were in the same class. She recalls how girls whispered and giggled about her and how someone had approached her, noting how she seemed to enjoy reading. Hinako admits her heart skipped a beat back then. Suddenly, Tsuko appears behind them, asking what they're talking about. Hinako giggles, saying they were talking about how cool she's. Tsuko grimly asks why Hinako is sulking and thanks her. On the other side, Asahi realizes he might have said something stupid and belatedly wonders if he accidentally confessed his feelings. In class, Asahi is surrounded by his female classmates, who excitedly discuss the new Mevius music video. They gush over how amazing it is and how they could watch it on repeat forever. Asahi agrees, mentioning how Jaeyeon's visuals are always out of this world. Another boy walks in, looking for Igarasahi to return his notes. He sees Asahi with the girls and remarks on how he must have a heart of steel to handle being surrounded by girls all the time. Used to the sight, he sits down and thanks Asahi for the notes. One of the girls immediately tells him to get lost, to which he angrily asks why Asahi gets a pass, but he doesn't. The girl replies that Asahi is like a girl anyway. Our guy calmly reminds everyone that he is in fact a guy. Just then, another girl calls out to Asahi, asking him to come over to talk about the club tomorrow. As his friends watch him go, one of them comments on how much Asahi knows about idols and trends, envying his knowledge despite having a big sister too. He also mentions how he loves his sister's cooking but remains clueless about current trends. Another friend joins in, asking what they're talking about. The envious friend exclaims that if he knew as much as Asahi, he'd be fawned over too. A girl, overhearing the conversation, gets annoyed and points out that the reason Asahi can talk with them is that he has no hidden intentions or ulterior motives. One of the boys shouts, incredulous, that no one like Asahi could possibly exist, especially among high school boys. The girls standing with Asahi turn to look at the shouting boy, recognizing him as Sawai from Class 1. They ask Asahi if he knows him, mentioning a legendary moment from their first year that makes Asahi embarrassed. A friend of the shouting boy suggests they head to their club already. The scene shifts to a bustling high school cultural festival. A girl comes up and asks if Igarasahi Asahi is there, and another points him out. He turns, shocked, and sees his sister and Hinako waving at him, greeting him warmly and saying they came to say hi. Not long after, he was called the man with flowers in each hand, and the photo of him with his sister and Hinako spread among the girls. Seeing the photo, Sawai, one of Asahi's friends, remarks on how pretty Asahi's sister is, questioning what this has to do with hidden intentions. Another friend clarifies that the two girls are Asahi's sister and her friend, hinting at something more. Asahi joins them, asking what they're talking about. Sawai responds that they are discussing who he likes, which freaks him out. They press further, mentioning his one-sided love since middle school for his sister's friend, leaving Asahi shocked and demanding to know who spilled the beans. Sawai teases him, suggesting that Asahi must really like good-looking girls and asking what he likes most about her face or something else. Asahi, embarrassed, nervously admits he finds her face beautiful. This leads to even more teasing as he stumbles over his words, attempting to describe her perfect eyes and natural look, escalating into a flustered rant about her many appealing features. As they look at their shocked faces, Asahi explains that his feelings aren't solely based on her pretty face. His friends turn to glance at Hinako, then back to tease Asahi, commenting playfully on his flustered state. Outside the window, Asahi's face lights up as he spots someone, and in the next moment, he disappears, surprising his friends. Outside, Hinako and her friends stand together, reminiscing about their school memories. Flustered, Hinako suggests leaving, but her friend insists they've just arrived, mentioning Hinako's supposed interest in checking out a co-ed school. Embarrassed, Hinako denies ever saying such a thing, but her friend recalls hearing about Hinako liking someone, but not wanting to date them as she attended an all-girls school. She laughs about the complexities of high school relationships, perplexed by modern teenagers. Hinako nervously tries to brush off the conversation, but her serious tone startles her friend, prompting Hinako to quickly apologize for any misunderstandings. Hinako's mind drifts back to Asahi's expressions and all the times they've shared together. She's telling her friend about it all, face all flushed with emotions. Her friend's taken aback, calling it a mix of sweet and bitter. She expresses how she feels about Asahi. It's not just a simple crush. It bugs her how Asahi stays cool even when he accidentally catches a glimpse of her undies while doing laundry. She's getting real frustrated, wondering if Asahi being around girls all the time at his co-ed school makes him clueless about her feelings. Her friend jumps in, saying just 'cause he's at a mixed school doesn't mean he's playing the field. Her friend thinks quietly, maybe Asahi sees things differently, especially as he is Tsukiko's little brother. Before she can finish, Hinako butts in, defending Asahi, while her friend stands up insisting he's not the type to see Hinako romantically and asks her to back off. Then, out of the blue, Asahi bolts, saying she needs to see it for himself. Hinako tries to stop her friend, grabbing her arm and asking for her take, but her friend denies, leaving Hinako feeling frustrated and unsure. Other students nearby are watching, wondering if Hinako and her friend are siblings, or maybe uni students. Just then, Asahi arrives, calling Hinako's name. She gazes at him in awe, while her friend is on the verge of blurting out something about Hinako's feelings for him, but Hinako quickly covers her friend's mouth. Nervously, Hinako explains that her friend just wanted to know what Tsukiko's little brother was like, nothing more. Asahi calmly nods, acknowledging her friend's interest. Hinako then asks Asahi if he's heading home now, apologizing for barging in on him. He replies with a simple yes, but before he can say more, his friends swoop in, grabbing him away. They excitedly comment on Hinako's presence and ask about taking her and her friend's photos, clearly impressed by her appearance. Meanwhile, Hinako's friend remarks on how popular Asahi seems to be and teases him as he tries to explain why he can't just share their social media handles. Just then, Hinako calls out Asahi's name, causing him to freeze momentarily. She informs him they're heading home, and he turns abruptly, shouting for them to wait, leaving his friends stunned. He dashes towards Hinako but accidentally bumps into her friend, who's trying to control her laugh. Asahi's friends are watching from a window as he walks away with Hinako. One of the girls in the group nods knowingly, pointing out why Asahi can mingle with the girls so easily. Meanwhile, Asahi is serious and lost in thought while Hinako walks beside him, feeling flustered and embarrassed about her earlier reaction. Asahi replays the recent events in his mind, trying to figure out if Hinako's reaction was out of jealousy. He remembers her unexpectedly calling him by his first name and wonders if he's dreaming. The girls with Asahi's friends comments that since Asahi seems focused on someone from his past, he's harmless to anyone else romantically. While watching a video on TV, Hinako mentions wanting to visit an aquarium, see jellyfish, and feed a dolphin. Asahi suggests she should just go, prompting Hinako to turn and ask if he would come with her. Asahi is shocked, wondering if she's suggesting a date, as they've never gone out alone together beyond trips to the local convenience store. He enthusiastically agrees, surprising Hinako, who thinks he might not see it as a date, but she doesn't mind. Asahi, controlling his excitement, thinks about how much he loves the idea of going out with just the two of them. However, he then realizes he doesn't have any suitable clothes. Hinako suggests he just wear anything, but Asahi insists he can't do that, as he only has his school uniform and loungewear. Hinako acknowledges she's only ever seen him in those outfits. Hinako, eager to see Asahi's clothing options, asks him to show her what he has. He goes and puts on an outfit from his closet, but Hinako instantly decides they need to go shopping. Shocked, Asahi asks if his clothes are really that bad. Hinako examines him from head to toe, commenting that the clothes aren't lame but clearly don't fit him well anymore. When she asks when he bought them, Asahi explains his sister bought them for him last year. Hinako points out that he's grown since then, noting the sleeves are too short. Asahi giggles at this realization. Hinako then kneels down to take his measurements, explaining it's to make shopping easier. Flustered by her touch, Asahi insists he can measure himself, saying he usually does it at home. Hinako firmly replies that there's no way he can measure himself accurately. He gets flustered as she turns him around to measure his back, his heart racing. As she looks up the measurements, she moves to the next part, raising his wrist and telling him to lift his arms, leaving him in awe. When she measures his waist, he flinches at the closeness and nervously turns his toes. Sweating and trying to control himself, he gazes at her beautiful features. Hinako, noticing his discomfort, tells him he doesn't have to close his eyes. Nervous and sweating, he keeps his eyes closed, acknowledging that he shouldn't. Finally done with taking his measurements, Hinako says she will send them to him. Asahi sits on the ground, trying to control his emotions and sighing with relief that he survived the closeness. Turning her gaze towards him, Hinako glances at Asahi, a slight blush appearing on her cheeks as she ponders how unexpectedly built he is for a bookworm type of guy. Asahi finally gets a hold of his emotions and stands up from the ground, admitting he doesn't know anything about Fasahian, despite knowing his sizes now. He asks Hinako to pick clothes for him, to which she excitedly agrees. He then walks away, mentioning that he'll make dinner. Hinako sits on the couch, enjoying the music while Asahi cuts vegetables. With her heart racing, she searches on her phone, considering getting them matching clothes. She then thinks about wanting new underwear and quickly calms herself down, assuring herself that she isn't expecting anything. Suddenly, Tsuko appears behind her, teasingly suggesting that Hinako isn't an E70. Hinako is caught off guard and jumps in shock. Nervous, Asahi yells from behind, surprised that his sister was there. Tsuko calmly responds, saying she had been there for a while and was sleeping, while Hinako is still trembling and shaking from the surprise. Tsuko gets a bit closer, touching Hinako and remarking that her size changed. Surprised, Hinako asks if she thinks so, and Tsuko offers to measure her. Hinako, feeling nervous, agrees. Asahi, with his heart racing, peeks at Hinako from the kitchen, and Tsuko instantly scolds him, calling him a pervert and telling him to avert his eyes. Annoyed, Asahi snaps back, asking why she's doing it in the living room. A few days later, he is ready in his new outfit and shoes, looking quite handsome. He even wore contact lenses for the first time. He tries to sneak out silently, thinking it's the perfect time since his sister is sleeping. Just then, Tsuko's voice freezes him in his place. Standing in the doorway of her room, she asks where he's going. Sweat pours down his face as he stutters that he's just going out with a friend. In response, Tsuko smiles at him mysteriously, scaring the hell out of him. Hinako, who got too excited and arrived early, is soon approached by some boys who start teasing her. They ask if she wants to have fun with them, commenting on how cute she is and wondering if she's waiting for someone, possibly her boyfriend or a friend. One of the boys extends his hand towards her, suggesting she and her friend should join them. Nervously, Hinako tells them to leave her alone. Just then, Tsuko appears, placing her hands on their shoulders and strictly warning them not to touch Hinako with their filthy hands. Hinako's face instantly lights up as she sees Tsuko, while the boys comment on how it makes sense for them to be friends, thinking they both look hot. Tsuko signals Hinako to go, and she quickly moves away from the boys. As the boys comment from behind, suggesting Tsuko can come too, she responds firmly, saying they're in the way of Hinako's date. This shocks the boys, and Tsuko advises Hinako to look more disinterested to avoid getting hit on so quickly. Just then, Asahi appears and is surprised to see Tsuko there, wondering why she's present. Feeling proud, he declares that Hinako is going on a date with him, surprising the onlookers with his confidence. Soon after, Asahi and Hinako enter the aquarium together, standing nervously beside each other. Hinako glances at Asahi and tells him he looks great. Asahi, seeking confirmation, credits her Fasahian sense, calling it really good. Hinako giggles and thanks him, leading to both of them becoming flustered in the resulting awkward silence. Asahi silently glances at Hinako's beautiful face, wondering why she invited him out despite having so many friends. He grips his bag strap tightly, thinking it might be because they're often together at home, but maybe there's more to it. Just then, Tsuko appears behind them, startling Asahi by asking why he's so fidgety. Annoyed, he steps away while Hinako sweetly thanks Tsuko for the tickets. Tsuko then asks grimly why Hinako invited Asahi, but not her. Hinako quickly thinks of an excuse, saying she thought Asahi had asked her and that Tsuko seemed busy with assignments. Annoyed, Tsuko responds that she can always make time to hang out with Hinako. Meanwhile, he is still lost in his thoughts, considering the possibility that Hinako might have deeper reasons for inviting him. To avoid further questioning, Hinako quickly walks away, urging them to get moving. Seeing this, Tsuko tells Asahi not to expect anything and to get his act together. Obediently, Asahi responds affirmatively. They enter the aquarium, with Hinako looking around excitedly, while Tsuko maintains her serious demeanor. Asahi is sandwiched between them, feeling a bit out of place as they soon forget his presence and get engrossed in the view. From a distance, he observes them, thinking how they stand out. Asahi starts taking pictures of Hinako, who constantly gives him instructions on how to get the best angles. Afterward, they eat together and then sit to watch the Dolphin show, which excites Hinako immensely while Asahi remains between the two. They then visit the museum shop, where there is a large selection of stuffed toys featuring dolphins and other sea creatures. Hinako's excitement is palpable as she looks at all the toys, while Asahi, still feeling a bit awkward, takes in the scene. Seeing this, Asahi ponders to himself about getting souvenirs, one for Dad, one for Mom, and some for his classmates. He worries about explaining who he went with, but decides it doesn't matter. Turning to look at Hinako, who is busy talking with Tsuko, he overhears them discussing gifts for their friends. After leaving the aquarium, Hinako giggles, exclaiming how fun it was. Asahi asks if she wants to eat at their place or if she's going home. Hinako decides she'll go home for the day. Tsuko excuses herself to take a call, leaving him and Hinako alone for a moment. Hinako then whispers to Asahi, asking for his hand. She gives him a small keychain with a little dolphin, telling him to take it. Asahi, surprised, stutters as he takes out another similar keychain, revealing that he got one for her too. Hinako excitedly notices that even the colors and species are practically the same, marveling at the coincidence. Asahi, blushing, agrees. Hinako, with a finger on her lip, suggests they keep this a secret from Tsuko. Asahi, slightly blushing, nods, making Hinako giggle. Tsuko's sharp voice interrupts their moment, handing him a bag and instructing him to go home with it. Asahi asks if she's not coming home, to which Tsuko responds that something has come up, stepping towards them and reiterating her instruction. Just then, a girl comes rushing towards Tsuko, screaming her name and hugging her from behind. She looks adorable and innocent. Tsuko turns to look at her and calls her Utsugi. Utsugi clings to Tsuko, thanking her for coming for her. Tsuko responds nonchalantly, then turns to Hinako and Asahi, saying goodbye and leaving them surprised and wondering who this new girl is. As they walk away, he asks Hinako if a diner is fine for their next stop. Hinako, still in shock from the sudden appearance of Utsugi, absent-mindedly agrees. Asahi notices her distraction and tries to get her attention. Hinako glares back at the girl, hissing angrily under her breath, wondering who this person is. Utsugi, a girl who went to school with them since their second year of high school, was in the drama club. She's being tutored by Tsuko, and her primary choice of university is the same as theirs, studying science. After hearing all this from Hinako, Asahi remarks that Utsugi is just a student. Hinako, frustrated, exclaims that Tsuko goes out of her way to tutor Utsugi, even though she already has a job and that they've been meeting each other a lot lately. He tries to reason, but Hinako, still angry, comments on how cute Utsugi is and recalls how Tsuko almost accepted a junior girl's confession back in high school because she was cute. Currently, both Hinako and Asahi are spying on Utsugi and Tsuko, wearing strange outfits to hide their identities. Hinako glares in anger, saying that if Utsugi ever tricks or deceives her best friend, she will never forgive her. Asahi, feeling confused, wonders why he is even following them. Hinako gets more upset seeing Utsugi grabbing Tsuko's arm, thinking that Tsuko is more serious about Utsugi than she ever was with her. Out of nowhere, Hinako grabs Asahi's hand, prompting him to shock. She suggests they move, and he instantly agrees, causing her to tell him to keep quiet. They follow Utsugi and Tsuko to a cinema, buying tickets to watch the same movie. Inside the theater, Utsugi sits with Tsuko, emotionally immersed in the movie. Meanwhile, Hinako and Asahi sit secretly behind them, with Hinako busy watching the movie. Hinako is sobbing at the sad ending of the movie. Asahi, noticing her distress, asks if she needs his handkerchief. She takes it with thanks, mumbling about the movie. They continue to walk behind Tsuko and Utsugi at a distance. To get her attention away from the movie, Asahi calls Hinako and points towards Tsuko, saying, "They're going into the arcade. Look." Surprised, Hinako glares at them in anger. Meanwhile, he is busy looking around the arcade, to which Hinako nudges his shoulder and then slams him, pinning him to the wall. Looking into his puzzled face, she grins and instantly grabs him from his shoulder. She notices a camera in front of her and jumps onto his shoulders to pose. One after another, she makes different poses. Hinako is so happy with the pictures and wants to make one her background photo, while Asahi is wheezing, tired from all the posing. After some time, Asahi and Hinako sit in a restaurant, keeping an eye on Tsuko and Utsugi from a distance. Hinako notices his plate and gestures for him to feed her a bite. After eating, they head out and continue following Tsuko, but they eventually get caught. Tsuko confronts them, glaring with frustration. Both of them turn in shock, realizing they've been noticed. Hinako, more focused on Utsugi, asks about her whereabouts. Tsuko explains that she's already sent Utsugi home. She looks at them, clearly annoyed, questioning their actions. Asahi, trembling with fear, tries to distance himself from the situation. Hinako, feeling insecure, admits she thought Tsuko was drifting away, believing Tsuko only likes attractive people like Utsugi. She reminds Tsuko that she should be her number one. Surprised, Tsuko explains that Utsugi is her professor's daughter and she has been tutoring her to help her improve. Tsuko reassures Hinako that her meetings with Utsugi were only about tutoring and she had just told Utsugi that hanging out wasn't appropriate. Tsuko pinches Hinako's cheeks, emphasizing that having a good face doesn't equate to being a good person. She admits that although she likes refined things, she genuinely enjoys being with Hinako because she likes her as a person. Flustered by this, Hinako hugs Tsuko and confesses her love. Asahi, bewildered by the scene, wonders what he is witnessing. Suddenly, someone grabs his shirt and pushes him aside. It's Utsugi, who hasn't gone home and is now angrily questioning him. She demands to know who Hinako is, and Asahi nervously explains that they've been friends since middle school. Surprised, Utsugi remarks that middle school goes back a long way, but asserts she won't give up, mentioning a warning from Tsukiko. She then asks for Asahi's phone number, shocking him further. Quickly saving his number and adding him to her social account, she pokes his nose and firmly tells him he is going to help her out, making sure he understands. Asahi, still nervous, ponders his next move and tries to sneak away quietly. However, Hinako notices his attempt and calls out to him, asking where he's running off to. Caught off guard, he freezes and tries to explain, mentioning Utsugi. His words shock both of them, prompting Hinako to question why he's calling her by her first name. Asahi reveals that Utsugi just added him online. This revelation sends Hinako into a state of shock, and Tsuko glances over with a stern expression. Fuming with anger, Hinako screams at him, expressing her frustration. Hearing the commotion, Tsuko reflects that he really doesn't seem to learn, even though he's her little brother. The scene shifts to Asahi cooking in anticipation of Hinako's arrival at 7. Meanwhile, Hinako walks alone, reflecting on how she's finally memorized all the members' names and faces of Mevius, Asahi's favorite K-pop group. Excitedly announcing her arrival as she enters the house, she notices the unusual silence. Wondering if he is studying in his room, she feels a pang of disappointment at not seeing him greet her as usual. Searching the house, she opens a door and is surprised as something bursts into her face. Asahi appears in front of her, wishing her a happy birthday. Seeing her shocked expression, he teasingly congratulated her on turning 20, explaining that since Tsuko seemed busy today, he decided to celebrate early since she was coming over anyway. Hinako remains in disbelief as Asahi chuckles, reminding her that it's her special day after all. In the next moment, she reverts to her old habit of trying to hug Asahi out of nowhere, but he's learned to anticipate it and dodges her playful attack. Seeing the spread of food on the table, she exclaims with joy at the effort he put in. Asahi smiles and encourages her to eat as much as she wants. Surprised by the amount of food, she comments on how he must have worked hard to prepare it all. Asahi admits that he was unsure what to make and had asked his friends for suggestions. Reflecting on the various ideas he received, he mentions how he couldn't narrow down the options, resulting in a variety of dishes. Hearing this, Hinako asks about the girls from his club, wondering if there's someone he likes there. Asahi, caught off guard, denies it, insisting there's no one like that. Hinako continues, recalling his time in the basketball club during middle school, and asks if there's someone he might like among his current activities, such as the cooking club. Asahi hesitates, feeling a bit flustered by the question. Hinako argued that there must have been a reason for Asahi to join the cooking club, especially since it was filled with girls. Her intense gaze pushed him to explain that he felt it was a way to improve their dinners together, considering how often she joined them. Seeing her shocked expression, he quickly changed the subject, pretending to have forgotten something in the kitchen. In her flustered state, Hinako exclaimed about the unfairness of his distraction tactic. When Asahi asked her about it, she happily acknowledged how delicious the meal had been, admitting with a sigh that she had overeaten. As she relaxed on the couch, Asahi handed her a cup of coffee, which she gratefully accepted, remarking that it was pure satisfaction. Sitting there silently for a few moments, Asahi glances at she before calling her name and presenting her with a gift box. He explains that he has bought the present himself, as their sister will buy one for her next week. Hinako's excitement is palpable as she eagerly asks if she can open it. With a nod from Asahi, she quickly unwraps the box to find a pair of chopsticks inside. Asahi explains that he thinks it would be nice for her to have her own pair instead of always using disposable ones or borrowing from their sister. Despite his concern about not giving her something more extravagant, he expresses regret that he hadn't given them to her sooner for use at dinner that night. Hinako, overcome with happiness, thanks him sincerely. Just then, a sudden flash of lightning followed by a loud clap of thunder startles her. Startled, she wonders aloud if there is supposed to be a thunderstorm that night and suggests checking the news. As she looks up the weather, she ponders aloud if she should try to make it home. Asahi then suggests that she stay over, an offer she accepts, acknowledging that it would be wise. After taking a shower, she returns to Asahi, who informs her that the trains have stopped running and their sister won't be able to get home in this weather. Hinako nonchalantly comments that she'll likely have to stay at a hotel. Then, a sweet smile crosses her face as she mentions that it looks like they're home alone tonight. Asahi is taken aback by this and silently excuses himself to take a shower. Sitting in the bath, he ponders the unusual situation of being alone together with Hinako. It's a rare occurrence since she usually stays over only when their sister is also present. After dinner, Asahi typically retreats to his room, so being alone with her late at night feels unfamiliar to him. Returning from the shower, Asahi tries to clear his mind but finds Hinako sitting on the couch. She greets him warmly. Noticing she still has the chopsticks in hand, he asks if she likes them. She responds with a smile, admitting it's the first time she's had her own pair. She explains to him that they used to use any old cutlery they had in the cupboard at home, often resorting to disposable ones since their mom wasn't great at cooking and they frequently ordered takeout. Their parents, though still close, were deeply committed to their jobs, resulting in a family dynamic where they rarely ate together. Hinako grew up accustomed to this lifestyle, not feeling lonely, but always harboring a desire for something more traditional, like the chopsticks he gave her. With a smile, she assures him she'll take good care of them and expresses her happiness. Asahi, flustered by her gratitude, manages to say he's glad she likes them. Hinako moves closer, nudging her arm against his, leaning into his shoulder with closed eyes, commenting on his warmth and how easily he made a place for her here, almost as if inviting her to stay. Despite his flustered state and difficulty in responding, she continues, saying it feels like their family. Holding the chopsticks in her hand, she gazes into Asahi's eyes and draws closer to him, pressing herself against his shoulder. She asks hesitantly if he's okay with just being family, placing her hand over his racing heart. Asahi stutters her name in response, caught off guard by her closeness. Suddenly, she snaps back to reality and pushes him away as they both hear a noise. They turn to see Tsuki standing at the door, dripping wet and scolding them to quiet down. Tsuki explains she got a ride home from the assistant professor, demanding food from Asahi while Hinako rushes to get her a towel. Sitting at the dining table, Tsuki addresses him teasingly about staying home today, mentioning he owes her one. Asahi remains shocked while Hinako returns with a towel for Tsuki. She then suggests going to the hot springs next year, which excites Hinako greatly. Asahi, feeling defeated, muses to himself that he'll never win against her. The scene shifts to Hinako's birthday, where Tsuki and Asahi sit beside her with a cake, urging her to blow out the candles. She grins at Tsuki, prompting her to ask the reason. Hinako teasingly mentions that she's older now, even if just by a few months, and playfully demands Tsuki to revere her. Tsuki ponders for a moment before extending her congratulations in a mockingly formal manner, calling her, Your Grace. Hinako, unimpressed, jokingly calls her shameless. Asahi joins in, asking Hinako if she prefers coffee or black tea, addressing her as Lady Hinako, to which she playfully responds, noting that having a butler isn't so bad. Tsuki then inquires about a guy at Hinako's part-time job, piquing Asahi's curiosity. Tsuki explains about the senpai who gave her designer clothes despite not dating her and who often pestered her for drinks. Hinako, trying to stop Tsuki from continuing in front of Asahi, grabs her shoulder, visibly flustered. Unaware of her silent warning, Tsuko asks further if Hinako ended up going out with the guy. Hinako, looking flustered, glances at Asahi and says she didn't go, but he's still spamming her. Asahi, visibly unbothered, tells her she should tell the guy to stop if he's bothering her. Shocked by his calm response, she gets flustered and quickly excuses herself to the restroom, stomping her foot on the way out. After she leaves, Tsuko asks Asahi if he has anything to say about the guy trying to woo Hinako. He lightly responds that it's not a good idea to look down on him and that he's not going to get worked up over something that happens every day. When Hinako returns, Tsuko tells her that she needs to be clear with the guy to avoid misunderstandings. She suggests Hinako tell the guy in no uncertain terms that she won't share a drink with him, comparing it to something a mafia boss might say. She laughs carelessly, telling them they worry too much and that she's totally fine. Asahi is surprised by her sudden cheerfulness. Shifting to the cafe where Hinako works part-time, the guy approaches her, asking why she's been ignoring his texts and suggesting they celebrate her birthday with a drink. Hinako recalls Tsuko's advice, but can't bring herself to say it and dashes away instead. The guy tries to stop her, but she hears a familiar voice calling her name. Turning around, she sees Asahi sitting there with a coffee, surprising both her and the guy. Asahi tells her to walk home with him, and as they leave, still surprised, Hinako asks if he came all that way just to say hi. He responds that he just wanted some café au lait and jokes about becoming addicted to them. As they walk, he recalls her expression when she claimed she was fine and tells her that when she says that, he knows for sure she really isn't fine. The scene transitions to Hinako's university class, where the lecture ends and everyone cheers with joy as summer vacation begins. Meanwhile, Hinako, with a burnt-out expression, lies her head on her seat. Her friend pokes her head, asking if she's awake. Hinako, visibly crying, responds that she wants to see Akun but can't because Tsuko told her she can't meet him until exams are over. She also mentions that she has exams coming up. Her friend remarks that she hasn't seen him lately and warns that she'll get left behind if she talks to Akun all day, giggling about how strict Tsuko is. Other friends join the conversation, asking if they're going to the beach, mentioning a viral beachfront shop on Instagram. They start talking about swimsuits and wonder if they can fit into last year's. The guy's ears perk up at the mention of swimsuits, and they approach, asking if they can come to the beach too. Two of the girls are shocked by this sudden offer, but Hinako's friend instantly says yes. The others angrily snap at her, asking why she agreed since they don't even know the guys. Calmly, she responds that Hirano-kun, the hottest guy in their department, is one of them, along with Nagasahima. She whispers that they can't let this opportunity slip by. They start insisting on the trip, saying if they go, they can see some fireworks too. They eagerly urge each other to go, pleading with their friends to come along as well. One of the guys asks when they are free, directing the question to Kake-san. Just as they are about to answer, Hinako receives messages from Asahi, congratulating her on finishing her exams and inviting her to an after-exam party. Energized by his messages, she suddenly announces she is going home, surprising everyone. Her friends try to stop her, confused by her abrupt departure, but she rushes off, eager to see Akun. As she reaches home, she rushes to the kitchen where Asahi is cooking and offers to help. He suggests she set the table, and she obediently agrees, starting to place the plates. Seeing the chopsticks gifted by Asahi, she pauses and smiles, a blush appearing on her face. Tsuko suddenly appears behind her, teasing her about her happy expression, startling Hinako. She explains it's her present, and of course she'd be happy no matter who it was from. Tsuko responds with fake annoyance, acknowledging that she knows. Hinako then reassures Tsuko that she's equally happy with her gift, pointing to the earrings and noting she's taking good care of them. She giggles, realizing both gifts, the chopsticks from Asahi and the earrings from Tsuko, have beautiful sunflowers on them, commenting on how they both picked the same design, showing they really are siblings. Tsuko, surprised, remarks that Hinako's style is easy to guess, prompting her to giggle. Just then, Asahi arrives with a tray of food in his hand, ready to serve dinner. As they sit together to eat, Hinako takes out a wine bottle and starts pouring it. When asked about it, she explains that she got it a while back from a friend as a birthday present. The wine is peach-flavored and has a fizzy quality to it. Tsuki remarks that she doesn't like drinking sweet drinks while eating, causing Hinako to scream in frustration, realizing she had forgotten Tsuki's preference. After dinner, Hinako sits on the couch while Asahi is in the kitchen. Deciding that she can just drink water instead, she asks Asahi to put the kettle on for some tea. Meanwhile, Tsuki asks about her plans for the summer, prompting Hinako to excitedly suggest an idea. She suggests going to the beach, a festival, or on a trip somewhere for the summer. In response, Asahi and Tsuki silently gaze at each other and then say they have work and summer school commitments. Hearing this, Hinako grimaces in anger, sits on the couch, and starts sobbing, complaining about how mean they are for not being available during summer vacation. Asahi, hearing her crying, instantly approaches her, concerned. Tsuki also rushes over and notices the wine bottle, realizing it contains alcohol. She comments on how Hinako was downing it without realizing its alcoholic content, noting that it makes sense as a 20th birthday present. Tsuki remarks that it's a good thing Asahi didn't drink any, then asks him what they should do. Selfishly, Tsuki leaves Asahi alone with Hinako, stating that she's going to take a bath. Feeling alone, she laments about being the only one who wants to spend time together. Asahi sits near her, trying to soothe her, and explains that summer school won't take up all his holidays, and his sister said she could change her shifts next month. Hinako peeks at him and asks if he wants to go to the beach with her, shyly adding if he wants to see her in her swimsuit. Shocked, Asahi looks at Hinako in awe, thinking about how he does want to see her and go to the beach with her. However, he worries that if he just says, "yeah," it will make him sound like a pervert interested only in seeing her in a swimsuit. His silence confuses Hinako, making her look at him expectantly. Suddenly, Asahi blurts out advice about properly preparing for sunburns beforehand. Just then, Tsuki calls out from the bathroom, asking where the sponge he bought the other day is. Asahi flinches and rushes to give her the sponge. As he walks away, Hinako sadly ponders whether this means he doesn't want to see her. Meanwhile, Asahi kneels on the floor in embarrassment, realizing he fumbled his reply and feeling frustrated with himself. The scene shifts to Hinako doing some shopping. She considers different outfits, and her thoughts drift to Asahi as she selects 2 cute outfits and heads to the dressing room. As she takes off her clothes, she imagines being on the beach with him, a shy grin spreading across her face. Meanwhile, Asahi arrives at his school to join the summer camp. He is surprised to see Utsugi in front of him. She rushes towards him, excitedly asking about Tsukikoi and how Asahi is doing. As he looks at her, Asahi recalls that when meeting a girl for the first time, it isn't right to call her by her first name. He asks Utsugi about her tutoring, to which she sadly responds that it was only a 2-week arrangement. She had wanted to extend it, but Tsuko is working at a cram school for a while, and she wishes she were still in middle school. Asahi nods in understanding, thinking about the job of tutoring primary and middle school kids at a cram school. Utsugi explains further to Asahi that she thought it must have been fate or something when her dad got transferred and ended up being an instructor at Tsukiku's place while she was still enrolled at school. Surprised, Asahi asks her if she's still enrolled and confirms that it's a middle-high combined school. Utsugi explains that she only enrolled last year, but around the time she enrolled, her teacher scolded her about makeup, saying it was against school rules. The teacher reminded her that school isn't a place to be trendy and that she should focus on being a high school student. The teacher emphasized that such things could wait until after she got into university. Utsugi sadly recalls this, expressing how long it's been and how much she misses those times. Recalling that incident sadly, Utsugi ponders that if there was no reason to, she wouldn't have worn makeup. She sadly apologizes to her teacher and walks out of the staff room, thinking about why she even attends this school. Angered, she reflects that she's not doing this to be trendy. If she didn't wear makeup, she fears students would call her ugly and make fun of her, saying it's embarrassing to have her around. As Utsugi walked down the corridor, she heard a voice calling her name, prompting her to turn and see Tsuko standing in front of her. Utsugi ponders, noticing how pretty Tsuko looks even out of uniform, wondering if she is a graduate. Tsuko speaks up, mentioning that she overheard Utsugi in the staff room earlier and noticed her anger. Pondering Tsuko's words, Utsugi realizes she is indeed angry and answers affirmatively. Tsuko advises her that if she is going to wear makeup, she should at least choose something without glitter, pointing out that her eyeshadow gives it away. Utsugi looks at her in surprise, absorbing the advice. Tsuko further advises Utsugi to consider using brown eyeliner and suggests opting for a tinted lip balm. She also mentions that Utsugi could try using eyelash glue and getting an eyelash perm. Confused by the advice, she sadly asks if Tsuko is also upset. Tsuko responds lightly, stating there's no reason for her to be upset now. She notes that many girls wear makeup at school and smiles, appreciating the effort they put into their appearance every day. In response, Utsugi looks at Tsuko with wide eyes, feeling both surprised and encouraged by her words. Hinako has a key and can enter whenever she wants. However, today she wants to try something she saw in a show. Usually she's the one welcoming Akkun, but the idea of reversing roles excites her. She calls his name, but to her surprise, Utsugi opens the door instead. Hinako greets her, feeling a bit bewildered. Casually, Utsugi turns and informs Asahi that Hinako-san has arrived. He welcomes her warmly. Hinako feels a mix of irritation and jealousy. Why are they alone together at home? She wonders if they've grown closer since the beach trip. recalling how they behaved on the train. But then she remembers Utsugi's claim that she has no interest in Asahi. Observing them, Hinako hears Asahi apologize for not mentioning Utsugi's visit. She's stunned. He's dropped honorifics with her. The narrative flashes back to a few hours earlier. Koizumi had called, sounding unwell. When Asahi asked if she was okay, she admitted she had a cold and asked if he was free tomorrow night. He said he was. She asked him to attend the Mevius concert in her place. Surprised, he asked if she was sure. She explained that everyone else had plans, and she'd really appreciate it if he went. He felt lucky. He'd missed the chance to buy a ticket. Koizumi handed him two, leaving him unsure what to do with the extra one. He considered inviting friends, but most of them didn't like Mevius, and it felt rude to ask. Then he noticed Utsugi and inquired if she was free tomorrow night. Caught off guard, she hesitated, but agreed when he explained the situation. Still unsure, she asked for more details. He suggested watching Mevius shows at his place beforehand, which surprised her. The chance to meet Tsuko convinced her to say yes. Back in the present, Asahi explains they're having a Mevius appreciation gathering and invites Hai-chan to join. Stunned, she hesitates but eventually agrees. As they watch the show, Hinako feels uneasy. Utsugi comments that it's excellent, and Asahi agrees. Hinako wonders if they're always this in sync. She starts to question whether they even watch the same thing. Utsugi and Asahi share a brief handshake. Utsugi then steps out to call her parents and let them know she'll be late. Seizing the moment, Hinako calls out to Asahi. She grabs him, leaving him confused. She asks why he never thought to invite her, even though she was always around. He's baffled, but she insists. She likes Mevius too. He admits she slipped his mind. She calls him heartless. Cornered, he struggles to respond. Utsugi returns and cuts in, calling Hinako a normie. She says Asahi wouldn't pick someone who isn't a stan over a comrade. Hinako demands to know what a normie is. Utsugi explains it's someone who doesn't truly connect with Asahi's passion. He agrees, saying he wouldn't want to go to a show with someone like that. Hinako asks why. He admits he doesn't want her to see his nerdy side, just as she probably has things she'd rather keep hidden. But Hinako thinks to herself, she would show everything to someone she loves. She then asks why Utsugi is okay. Asahi replies that it's not what she thinks. Frustrated, she watches as Utsugi prepares to leave. Asahi walks her out. That night, Hinako tells Tsuko everything and asks what she should do. Should she become a nerd to understand Asahi? Tsuko sighs and says Hinako isn't cut out for nerd culture and should probably let it go. Her words leave Hinako disappointed. At the cafe, Hinako serves customers and glances at the clock. She reflects that Akon is likely at the Mevius concert now. Recalling his words, she angrily calls him inconsiderate. She can't understand why he refused to go with her, yet invited Utsugi. A realization hits her. Asahi is too familiar with many girls she never noticed before, but he's rarely with boys his age. Muttering to herself, she's interrupted by Yano, who asks where to place an item. She stares at him, leaving him confused. She asks if he's in high school. He confirms he is. Hesitating, she probes how he feels about attending a concert with someone. Flustered, Yano wonders if she's inviting him. He asks if she means a date, eagerly saying he's willing. Hinako exhales heavily, her mood darkening. She steps aside, leaving Yano unsettled. Another worker pats him, explaining she wasn't inviting him. The scene shifts to Asahi and Utsugi at the concert. He notes she said she didn't want merchandise when they arrived. She sharply tells him to be quiet. Regretting seeing the band in person, she admits it was overwhelming. She mutters softly. Asahi urges her to speak but stops, respecting her choice. Surprised, she confronts him, convinced he thinks she's a vile creature. He replies he's intrigued. Brightening, she asks if he wants to hear her out. They talk until Sawai interrupts, grabbing Asahi's shirt. Shocked, Sawai demands why he's here, questioning if Asahi was pursuing Hinako, and why he's now with another girl. Asahi explains that Utsugi is from his cram school. Sawai, incredulous, scolds him for being on a date with a girl from another school. Asahi insists it's not a date, just accompanying her to see a band. Sawai argues that going to a concert with a girl counts as a date. Utsugi, astonished, insists she only came because Asahi invited her. She convinces herself it's not a date but begins to doubt. Asahi challenges Sawai's claim, stating it's only a date if he likes the girl. Infuriated, Sawai finds the line cool and calms down. He introduces himself to Utsugi and offers to go out with her instead. She curtly refuses, leaving him dejected. He departs. Asahi apologizes to her. She says it's fine. Noticing her staring, he asks what's wrong. She exhales and says she doesn't like him either way, leaving him perplexed. Meanwhile, Hinako hums softly while styling her hair at home. Once finished, she meets her friend, who eagerly shows her the idol she stands. She remarks that he's handsome. Her friend agrees, noting that standing broadens the mind. Hinako wonders if she should have a stand too, but dismisses the idea, saying she lacks the passion to be a true fan. Annoyed, her friend mutters that Tsuko said the same, betting Hinako will end up similarly. Flustered, Hinako stammers that she has someone she likes. Her friend, confused, clarifies that she doesn't romantically love her idol. It's different, like comparing apples and oranges. Still bewildered, Hinako listens as her friend explains. It's not romance, she just wants to know more about him and feels grateful for his existence. Hinako thinks she understands, but her friend corrects her, saying it's more complex. On her way home, Hinako reflects on standing, realizing it's more complicated than she thought. Entering the house, she hears voices. To her surprise, Asahi and Utsugi are together. Asahi notices her, but Hinako demands why Utsugi is there again. She retorts that they're streaming the tour's final show. Hinako points out Utsugi could watch it at home. She counters that her house is noisy and her phone screen is too small. Hinako recalls it's the same concert she attended and wonders why Utsugi would watch it again. She snaps that no two live shows are identical. Hinako apologizes quickly, and Asahi tells Utsugi to calm down. Studying Hai-chan, Asahi comments that she seems different today. She reveals she parted her fringe and shyly asks how it looks. He compliments her, saying it highlights her pretty face. Utsugi observes silently. Feeling like an intruder, Hinako excuses herself. Asahi feels uneasy, but Utsugi reminds him the stream is starting. He focuses on the idols, praising them. Peeking from the doorway, Hinako notes that despite his reluctance to let her see him nerd out, he seems unchanged. Yet she insists he's enjoying himself more. Part of her wants to join, but she hesitates, not wanting to be a burden. Afterward, the girls thank Asahi for escorting. Engrossed in conversation with Utsugi, he barely notices Hinako, leaving her feeling excluded. Utsugi departs, and Hinako lingers sullen. When Asahi asks why she hasn't left, she vents her frustration, saying it's unfair that he only spends time with Utsugi. He tries to explain, but Hinako grabs his hand, urging him to spend time with her too, just the two of them. Surprised, he agrees. Before she can savor the moment, Utsugi calls her over, and Hinako reluctantly leaves, leaving Asahi stunned. Walking away, Hinako feels proud of taking the initiative. Utsugi interrupts, asking if Asahi is her stan. Hinako falters, unsure of her meaning. Utsugi explains she thought Hinako's feelings were mere admiration. After all, Asahi calls her pretty without hesitation, speaking of her with the same reverence he uses for idols. Hinako struggles to respond. Utsugi continues, stressing that standing isn't romance. It carries no expectation of return. It's about finding joy in someone's happiness. This dawns on Hinako. Asahi never asks anything of her, while she constantly seeks from him. Utsugi leaves, and Hinako struggles with a crisis. If she's truly his stan, their bond may never become romantic. Meanwhile, Asahi regains his composure, still shaken by the exchange. He stands, gathering his thoughts, his cheeks flushing as he recalls Hei-chan's earlier actions. His heart races whenever he thinks about how she held his hand. He wonders if this outing could truly be a date. Their aquarium visit had been crowded with Tsuko's presence, never feeling like a true moment alone. Could this time be different? Just then, Hinako arrives, apologizing for keeping him waiting. He freezes, struck by her presence. She asks how she looks, and he gazes at her in awe, stammering his thanks. Puzzled, she questions why he's thanking her. Brushing aside a fleeting memory of Utsugi's words, she grabs his hand, declaring they should go. The festival buzzes with energy. Hinako remarks that candy apples capture the essence of such events. Asahi admits he's never tried one. She hands him one, explaining their delightful taste. He takes a bite and agrees they're excellent. She notes their recent popularity in upscale shops but insists festivals offer the best. Excited, she heads to the yo-yo fishing stall, her eyes sparkling with childlike joy. The game stirs memories of her youth. She loved it then, despite never knowing what to do with the yo-yos afterward. She glances at Asahi, seeking his approval. Her enthusiasm is obvious. Spotting a cotton candy stall, she calls it adorable and darts off, leaving Asahi trailing behind. He muses that this doesn't feel like a date, he's more like her bodyguard. Still, her smile makes it worthwhile, so he lets it go. She calls his name, and he looks at her warmly. Sensing her own energy, she wonders if she's been too loud. He reassures her it's fine, but she tells him to stop looking at her like that. Asking if he's hungry, she suggests they eat. He encourages her to enjoy herself, which frustrates her. She feels the mood shift awkwardly, despite earlier moments feeling right. Recalling his words, that she's like family, she doubts he sees her as Utsugi suggested. But being family isn't what she wants. What should she do now? Nearby, a couple's affection exchange catches her ear. Asahi returns, apologizing for the wait, and offers her a Ramune bottle. She accepts, asking if he's enjoyed himself. Confused, he admits he has and asks what she means. She confesses she's been the only one rushing around. He replies that her happiness is enough, but she cuts him off, insisting it's not right. She invited him, yet she's the only one having fun while he watches. She urges him to ask for something in return. Baffled, he asks why she's so insistent and requests time to think. After a pause, he starts to speak, but fireworks erupt, drowning his words. She asks him to repeat himself. Hesitantly, he admits he doesn't want her going to the beach with that university boy. Stunned, she agrees to his request. His disbelief mixes with embarrassment, and she wonders if this is jealousy or possessiveness. Both stand bewildered as the festival ends. Back home, Tsuko quizzes Asahi about the festival. He demands how she knows, and she reveals she saw Hinako's online story, noting Hinako's lifelong love for festivals. She admits she often declined Hinako's invitations due to exhaustion. Asahi agrees, mentioning Tsuko never attends festivals herself. A sly smile crosses her face, puzzling him. She asks about Hinako's yukata. He admits it suited her, and she welcomes him warmly. Startled, he asks if she chose it. She teases that he now owes her twice, and he accuses her of playing games. Tsuko grumbles about the weather, complaining that the house is too far from the station, even by train. Asahi notes it's only a 2-hour trip, but she snaps that it's still too long. They finally arrive home, and their mother greets them warmly. Tsuko collapses in exhaustion, prompting her mother to tease that she just arrived and needs to build some muscle. Asahi watches quietly. Their mother spots Hinako and remarks on how much cuter she's become. Hinako explains that Tsuko invited her and apologizes for not giving prior notice. Their mother brushes it off, saying it's the usual chaos with those two. After some light chatter, she invites Hinako inside and she thanks her. Asahi catches Hanako's gaze and she gives him a playful blink. They all sit and enjoy each other's company. Their mother asks Asahi if he brought the item she requested. He admits he forgot but promises to bring it next time. Irritated, she reminds him he said the same thing last visit. Hinako asks if he comes home often, and he confirms he does, usually on weekends or nights when Tsuko's away. Since his high school is equidistant from the apartment and home, it's convenient. Hinako nods, noting it feels like he's always around. Asahi jolts, realizing it's because he wants to be there when she visits. She wonders aloud if her presence draws him home. Stunned, he hesitates as she adds that he might not want to leave his home to someone else. She apologizes for visiting too often. Panicked, he insists she's welcome any time. She presses if he means it, and he reaffirms sincerely. Tsuko interrupts, reminding them it's her house they're discussing. A loud slam startles them. It's their dog, Okage. Asahi calls to it, but Okage bolts straight for Hinako. She laughs, noting how much it's grown, as it jumps on her. Asahi rushes to pull it off, but Tsuko appears, commanding Okage to sit, and it obeys instantly. Asahi mutters about why Okage never listens to him. Hinako assures him she's fine. He notices her strap slip and blushes. Their mother sees it too, but Hinako waves it off. She scolds Okage, while Asahi grumbles that the dog's foolish. Their mother asks Asahi to walk Okage. Seeing Tsuko already asleep, he agrees. Hinako eagerly offers to join. Their mother asks if Hinako's staying over and offers to wash her dress. Hinako thanks her and asks to borrow Tsuko's clothes, which their mother allows. While walking, Hinako comments that Okage seems overjoyed, mirroring her own excitement. Asahi remarks that the dog only acts this way around her. Okage tugs the leash, nearly dragging him, and he struggles to hold it back. Hinako laughs, calls him adorable, and starts recording. The moment sparks a memory. In their third year of middle school, Hinako had asked Tsuko if they'd gotten a dog. She explained that guests couldn't keep it, so they took it in. Hinako greeted Asahi, and he left to walk the dog. Still filming, Hinako notes how much he's grown. He questions why she sounds like a long-lost relative. With mock sobs, she says it feels like just yesterday he was so small. He demands how far back she's remembering. She insists he's still as cute as ever. Flushing, he mumbles that he's not cute, but she doubles down, patting his head and apologizing playfully. He reveals that his father and sister are tall, so he expects to grow taller too, maybe even surpassing her. She freezes, saying that would be troublesome, which annoys him. He wonders if she still sees him as a younger brother. Imagining him towering over her, she thinks his presence would be overwhelming. Asahi notes that walking and chatting with Hinako feels pleasant, wondering if it counts as a date. He pats Okage, telling her she can wander as far as she likes today. Just then, Miss Takeda appears, noting how much Asahi has grown, barely recognizing him. She asks how long he's staying, and he replies a week. Hinako, observing, comments that he seems to know everyone in the neighborhood. Recalling Miss Takeda's back injury, Asahi asks if she's well. She assures him she's fine, just strolling before her grandchild arrives. Suddenly, a child shouts Asahi's name and rushes over. It's Rika. He greets her warmly. Noticing Hinako, Rika demands to know who she is. Asahi introduces them, and Hinako greets her politely, but Rika steps back, startling her. Rika insists on showing Asahi something, but he explains he's walking Okage. Rika points out that Okage is already playing with Maka and urges him to join her at the swings. Asahi asks Hinako to head back without him, and she agrees, watching them leave before returning home. Tsuko greets Hinako, and she asks about Asahi. Hinako explains he's playing with a girl named Rika. Tsuko recalls Rika, noting she's always been fond of Asahi, though they aren't close. Hinako sighs and sits beside her. Tsuko notices her unease and clarifies that Rika's just an elementary schooler. Hinako stammers, insisting she knows, claiming she only found the scene heartwarming and isn't bothered. She steadies her breathing, but Tsuko teases that she seems very stressed. Hinako looks distressed, and Tsuko comforts her, calling his brother a fool for not moving things forward. Their mother enters, suggesting Hinako take a bath. She asks if she can borrow something, admitting she doesn't have any spare undergarments. Tsuko replies that she still has some of Hinako's clothes from 2 years ago, back when she stayed over before starting university. After showering, Hinako tries on the undergarments but finds them uncomfortably tight. She reasons a loose shirt might conceal her figure, but decides to borrow a camisole from Tsuko, wrapping a towel over her chest for now. As she dresses, Asahi opens the door, startling both. He apologizes, and she assures him it's fine since she's dressed. She asks if he enjoyed the swings. He admits they were too rough, leaving him feeling sick. He drops something, and she points it out. As she bends to pick it up, he mistakenly glances at her, his face turning crimson. Noticing his reaction, Hinako realizes the situation, clutches the towel, and panics. She explains that her high school clothes no longer fit. Flustered, she tries to return his item, but he recoils, swatting her hand away, urging her to keep her distance. Stunned, she flees to Tsuko, sobbing that she's not a harlot. Tsuko, confused, demands to know what happened. After eating, Hinako praises Asahi's mother for the meal. A sudden thought strikes her, surprising Asahi. She lists dishes he's cooked for her, realizing they taste like his mother's. She assumes his mother taught him, but he says she didn't. His mother chimes in, recalling that he once asked to learn, but she found it bothersome and told him to observe instead. She adds that since he's eaten her cooking his whole life, he naturally picked up the flavors. Jokingly, she suggests he take over cooking, leaving him stunned. Hinako muses that if she cooked, her dishes might eventually taste like theirs, having eaten so many of Asahi's meals. She quickly clarifies she's not serious about cooking. Noticing his flushed face, she asks why. He looks away, fumbling for an answer. Hinako exhales, reflecting on the day, and prepares to rest. Suddenly, she asks to see Asahi's primary school photos. Uneasy, he admits his schoolbook is in his room. His mother offers the family album instead, and Hinako eagerly agrees. She beams at his childhood pictures, calling him adorable, leaving him half pleased, half embarrassed. A photo catches their eye, and Hinako notes Tsuko hasn't changed. Amused, Asahi snaps a picture and sends it to Utsugi. Hanako's surprised when Utsugi replies with thanks and stickers. Asahi's confused by the response. Curious, Hinako asks to see, and he shows her. She leans close, and his eyes drift to her chest. Recalling the bathroom incident, his heart racing. She notices his messages with Utsugi are less frequent and more formal than his brief texts to her. Handing back his phone, she thanks him. He excuses himself to get a drink, leaving her puzzled but nodding. Alone, Hinako flips through the album, recalling Akin's distant attitude in primary school, though he was undeniably cute. They barely spoke in middle school, only growing closer after he moved in with Tsuko. She smiles tenderly at their photos. Meanwhile, Asahi sighs in relief, unsettled by Hinako being in his childhood room. Returning, he offers her ice cream, only to find her asleep. Speechless, his face reddens, and he quietly shuts the door. Tsuko spots him outside and asks what's wrong. He points to his room, and she peeks in, seeing Hinako asleep. She advises letting her rest, saying she'll wake eventually. Asahi protests that it's his bed. Tsuko gives him a cold look, sighs, and loudly calls to Hina, telling her to wake up since she's inconveniencing the household's resident virgin. Asahi stands stunned by her bluntness. The next morning, Hinako wakes up, recalling her stay in Tsuko's family home, feeling the same cozy warmth she remembers. She could stay for days. Her mother's cooking is exquisite. Okage is adorable, and Tsuko's room radiates comfort. Asahi's tidy room explains why their apartment is always neat and clean. Lost in thought, she considers tidying up, but pauses to fix her hair. Nostalgia hits as she spots her old university entrance exam materials, her neat handwriting sparking memories of her diligence. Flipping through the pages, she trembles with excitement. The scene shifts to a past moment in a cafe. Hinako groans, unwilling to continue studying. Tsuko points out they've only been there an hour. Hinako insists another English question will drive her mad but admits she excels in Japanese and only needs to improve her English. She questions its necessity, doubting she'll live abroad, then dismisses her own excuse as foolish. Irritated, she grips her legs, but Tsuko ignores her. Hinako scribbles, "I'm foolish," in her notebook. Tsuko notices, writes, "Be quiet," and they resume studying. Growing weary, Hinako watches Tsuko, engrossed in her work, and remarks that she's intelligent and loves studying, probably not wanting to waste time with her. Tsuko replies they're always together, so it's no bother. Hinako agrees but laments consuming Tsuko's precious time. Tsuko pops a treat into Hinako's mouth, saying she performs better with her around. Hinako concedes it might be true. Tsuko affirms that's what matters, noting Hinako's grades could get her into any university, but urging her to aim high. She warns she won't forgive her if they don't attend the same university, pinching her cheek. Moved, Hinako agrees, and Tsuko teases she'll withhold parfaits until Hinako finishes her questions. The scene shifts to Utsugi, her heart racing as Tsuko praises her answers. She thanks her, and Tsuko commends her mental discipline, surprising her. Utsugi says she wouldn't put it that way, as it's natural to review her work after inviting her. Tsuko asks if her earlier remarks unsettled her, apologizing. She explains Utsugi was once just a student she tutored, but after their recent beach trip and growing closer to Asahi, she's now a cherished junior. Utsugi calls her a goddess. Tsuko announces they'll review practice tests, and as Utsugi studies, Tsuko sees Hanako's reflection in her smiling. That night, Hinako wakes, noticing her room's mess, wondering if it was always this untidy. Meanwhile, Utsugi feels content. The next day, Asahi stands awestruck, amazed by the university's immense size. Utsugi remarks it's typical, surprised he's never visited one before. He admits he's uninterested in other universities, only here because Hinako invited him. He considered this school, but feels it's beyond his reach. Utsugi asks if he's decided on a university, noting he has just 2 years left in high school. He says he has options, but none feel special, hoping she understands. She insists her situation differs, declaring she'll join this university's science department to attend a renowned physics professor's lectures. Asahi, shocked, realizes her father teaches here and her high school is a feeder institution. He wonders if she's the exception, as those around him seem less driven. Just then, Hinako calls out, waving enthusiastically. She invites Sarah-chan to join them, but she declines for an open lecture and leaves. Hinako beams, Thrilled to be alone with Akun, he calls her back to reality, and she greets him warmly, guiding him through the university. Someone waves at her, and she steps aside to chat. Asahi feels a pang of jealousy. Returning, she says she can only show him the art faculty buildings, asking if he planned to study business and why he's not attending a lecture. He explains he's just here for the vibe. Curious, he asks how she chose her path. She shares that her love for reading in high school literature classes made it an easy choice, though Tsuko's threats pushed her here to meet her expectations. Asahi finds it hard to believe. He admits, disheartened, that Utsugi has clear goals while he's choosing business by elimination, uninterested in STEM or humanities. Hinako reminds him he's still studying and shares that her pride comes from the effort she put into her entrance exams. She says the university itself doesn't matter. What matters is taking pride in the journey. Moved, Asahi watches her radiant smile. Her friends appear, cheering, flustering Hinako. Emily greets him, recognizing him as someone's brother. Eiki mentions that he's Tsuko's brother. Hinako insists she call him Asahi-kun, confusing both. Eiki asks if Hinako's just giving a tour and if they're done. Asahi confirms they are, and when asked if he wants to see more, he declines. Eiki invites them to karaoke, and Asahi urges Hinako to go, starting to leave. Emily grabs him, pulling him along. At karaoke, Misaki exclaims over Asahi's cuteness, confirming he's Tsuko's brother. He introduces himself, and she admits schoolboys are her type, prompting others to tell her to back off. She teases Hinako, asking if she's made a move yet, catching Asahi off guard. Misaki asks if he's hungry, and he admits he's low on cash. She assures him Hinako will pay, and though stunned, Hinako agrees, encouraging him to order anything. They enjoy the food, and Asahi compliments Hanako's singing, calling it cute. Aki asks if he'll sing, but he says he only knows K-pop, like Mevius. Aki's amazed, unaware Tsuko likes them too. Asahi realizes this is how others see his sister. Hinako grows jealous, sitting between them to interrupt, reminding Aki it's her turn. As they come outside, Asahi's shocked by the high-end karaoke's cost and apologizes to Hinako for letting her pay. She brushes it off, saying his cooking far outshines karaoke snacks. He downplays his skills, and Emily calls out, hinting the night's not over. The scene shifts to a restaurant. Misaki serves Asahi tea, and he thanks her. Noticing the table growing bare, he realizes this reflects university life. Hinako watches him quietly. 30 minutes earlier, Emily mentioned her boyfriend was grabbing a pint with Nagashima and invited them along. Eiki excused herself, and Hinako tried to leave, but Misaki asked if Asahi was joining. She assured Hinako they'd get him home before too late, so she agreed to come. Back in the present, Hinako apologizes to Asahi, saying he can leave whenever he wants. Misaki asks Emily when she got a boyfriend, and Emily says last month. Hinako whispers to Asahi that Emily had been talking up Hirano, but is now with someone else. Emily retorts that her boyfriend isn't a supermodel nor an unattainable heartthrob. Overhearing, Asahi's face shows shock, recalling something. Misaki asks Hinako if she agrees, but she denies it. Misaki calls her a liar, insisting pretty girls belong with handsome boys. Asahi feels stabbed by the comment, but gets it. Misaki then asks Hinako what matters most if not looks. Emily, intrigued, says she's never heard Hinako discuss this. All eyes on her, Hinako pauses before admitting its cooking skills. They react loudly and irritated. She tells them to stop. Misaki abruptly asks Asahi if he has a girlfriend. Startled, he says no. She presses if he likes someone, and as he blushes, he denies it. They all insist he does, and Misaki teases if it's Hinako, making him flinch. She notes their closeness, saying she'd have fallen for him. Emily says it's cruel to push, and her boyfriend agrees. Misaki counters that being too close can backfire, and Asahi awkwardly nods, forcing a chuckle in the tense moment. Hirano arrives, apologizing for being late. Spotting Asahi, he's shocked, asking if they've met. They confirm a past encounter, and Hirano glances at Hinako, who's eating. Asahi offers chopsticks and a wet towel with a smile. Bewildered, Hirano thanks him, and they continue eating. Emily asks Hirano about his company visit, and he says it was fine, just a trial to feel the vibe, with no rush until next year. Confused, Asahi learns from Hinako it's a job hunting event. He marvels that college students plan so early, feeling they're so organized. He asks Hinako about her plans, and she shares she's consulted seniors about internships and graduates for advice, aiming for publishing. She explains her love for out-of-print books, hoping to stay connected to them through work, though she fears her reason sounds childish. Asahi reflects silently. They finish and step outside. Hinako stumbles, and Asahi asks if she's okay. She insists she's fine, and Emily teases if she's drunk, which she denies. Hirano offers to drive her home, shocking Emily, who asks if he drove. He confirms he's practicing and will drive carefully. Asahi interrupts, saying it's fine since Hinako lives nearby and he'll walk her home. Hirano falls silent. Emily asks if Hinako lives with Asahi's sister and if it's close. Asahi confirms, thanking them for the day. They say goodbye and part ways. Asahi tells Hinako they should head home, and she smiles widely. At home, Hinako asks about Tsuko, and Asahi guesses she's at work. He offers iced tea, which she accepts gratefully. Noting her drinking earlier, he hopes she's okay. She apologizes for the evening, but he says he enjoyed it, struck again by her college life. Startled, she asks what he means, and he clarifies it's not negative. Reflecting on his uncertain future and her publishing goal, he admits the 3-year age gap feels big and she's matured. Smiling, she asks if he's impressed. Moved, he vows to work hard to become a respectable adult for her, then heads to shower. Blushing, she wonders if he meant exams. Tsuko returns, and Hinako recounts the day. Tsuko asks if Asahi was a burden, but she denies it, saying they pulled him in. She praises his ease with her friends, surprising Tsuko, who wonders when he got so social. Hinako says it's not a skill, he's just used to girls, tearfully blaming Tsuko. Bewildered, she sees Hinako break down, realizing she had held back earlier and is quite drunk. Chuckling, Tsuko tells her to sleep, calling her troublesome. Hinako retorts, calling Tsuko mean. At home, Hinako practices yoga, pausing the video and feeling free. She loosens her hair, checks her waistline and sighs. She thought she'd slimmed down for the beach, but it's back. Dismissing it as imagination, she admits the food's too good to resist. Spotting an article, she shifts to work. Asahi returns, catching sight of her. She smiles, but he flushes, urging her to practice in Tsuko's room. She counters that the living room is bigger. Asking why he's home late, she wonders if it's cram school. He explains it's school festival prep, with his class running stalls. She recalls her own festivals nostalgically. He asks if universities have festivals, and she says they do, but they lack high school's communal spirit, where everyone works late together. He wonders if that's troublesome. Curious, he asked about her festivals, and she reminds him she invited him yearly, but he never came, finding an all-girls school odd. She shows a photo of Tsuko dressed as a male from her final year. Asahi says she suits it and Utsugi would love it. He asks where Hinako is, and she points to her cafe photo. He gazes in awe, calling her adorable. She explains the girls styled her, noticing his expression and teasing if he wants the photo. Shocked, he declines, and they grow embarrassed. Tsuko, exasperated, wonders if they ever tire of this. Tsuko asks Hinako if she'll attend Asahi's festival. Hinako eagerly agrees, seeking his permission. He consents, realizing he must invite Tsuko too. On festival day, Sawai asks Asahi if she's coming. He confirms she'll arrive soon. Hinako appears, greeting them. Sawai recognizes her as Asahi's frequent companion, complimenting her striking presence. She thanks him politely. Sawai pulls Asahi aside, stunned he invited her. Asahi confirms, and Hinako verifies she came with him. Spotting Utsugi being bothered by boys, Asahi rushes to help. Irritated, Utsugi complains, but he apologizes and thanks her for coming, handing her Tsuko's picture, which makes her smile. Hinako apologizes to her, and Utsugi says it's fine. Sawai greets Utsugi, who curtly acknowledges him, recalling him from the dome. Asahi warns Sawai not to blurt things out. Hinako feels jealous, noting Asahi invited Utsugi but not her. Sawai offers to lead them to food stalls, and Utsugi's glance unsettles Asahi. He turns to Hinako, but she's already gone ahead with Sawai. Earlier, Sawai begged Asahi to invite Utsugi, clarifying she's just a friend and he's unsure if she's seeing anyone. Asahi agreed to try but refused to push further, asking if he should mention Sawai's interest. Sawai pleaded against it, fearing she'd think he had bad intentions. At present, Asahi sighs, wishing for time alone with Hai-chan. Utsugi remarks she should be sighing, and he agrees. Just then, Hinako glances back at them, feeling jealous.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.